Microphone.
Hello, Lindsay. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Thank
I
you
have
so
to,
much for talking to me.
well, I'm really grateful you asked me. I love being able to talk about my experience and spiritual awakening and the angels. So let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. I love how you put your
It's so
hands
fun.
over your heart. That's what I do a lot. It just kind of goes right to my heart, my higher heart. And when I
Right,
lead
right.
meditations, I invite people to do the same thing. And it just is, what does it do for you?
I'm kind of unconscious about it, so it's interesting that you would bring that up. But I have noticed doing it recently. I had trouble speaking out, and I took Toastmasters in order to be able to speak, and I would like my voice would shake through all of my speeches, and that was and people said, well, you just have to feel the fear and do it anyway. And I did that because I knew eventually I was going to be asked to speak like this. And
Yeah.
I was wanting to be ready for that. And and I did 10 speeches, and at the end somebody said to me, well, the fear is never going to go away. And then I said, I quit. I don't want to feel this fear
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have to do that. And thankfully, I I have cleared that I have cleared that throat chakra thing that was going on.
Yeah.
And I think that doing this with my hands is just an anchoring in the heart that allows that energy from the lower chakras
Mhm.
uh, to rise and complete the circuit. So
Ah, okay.
I do, I
Beautiful.
do, yeah. I never thought about it, but I think that's the answer.
Yeah, it's lovely. It also feels like, to me, it feels like preparation. So like, if you're playing sports or something, you're in your defensive position, you're in your offensive position, you're on your mark, get set. This is kind of like, I am so grateful to be where I am. I am so grateful for whatever that is in the moment. Um, I am grateful I am not alone
Yes, yes.
in this. And that's a very big reason why you wrote the book that I really want to talk to you about today. Um, you and I have had, it seems like, very similar awakening where we didn't know what the heck it was. I think that the younger generation coming up, or not even younger generation, younger than us, they have more of an idea of spirituality, consciousness, physics, openness. And, your awakening happened 10 years ago in 2014. Mine was about 5 years ago, but I had no idea. My family had no idea. And it was very, very difficult.
It is. And it's very interesting to have that kind of spontaneous awakening.
Mm.
And I I believe you're right. Certainly there's a lot more conversation about consciousness is kind of a common word, and most people kind of know what awakening is too, which when I had my experience, I was looking for a book on it, and I found several, but that they didn't really resonate with me. There was the whole non-duality thing, which I was like, I don't I don't get that. It's
Yeah.
a non thing. So
Mhm.
I didn't feel like that's
What did you Google? What did you search for 10 years ago when you were going through this? What
well,
the heck do you put in the search bar?
yeah, right. Well, I
Do you
think what I
remember?
put in was awakening consciousness, and there
Okay.
wasn't there wasn't anything about that. And so I finally, after much searching of trying to understand what happened to me, I said, okay, well, I'm going to document this and I'm going to write blog posts about it and what I'm learning, and hopefully it'll be helpful information for people. And that became a book because no one
Did you
else was
have
writing.
any history of writing?
Um,
Did you ever think
my
you were going to write a book?
no, I did
Right. It's
not.
so wild. Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
What I had I had been doing some writing because I actually was doing long haul truck driving.
No way.
Yeah,
So not while you were driving, when you had time overnights or something you were driving? Or
I actually drive with a partner
okay.
uh, of 20 years now, and we spent most of that time driving cross country. And so I started doing travel writing for some
Ah,
online magazines and getting paid a little bit
so
because
cool.
I was so excited about the things I was seeing, and I just wanted to share that with people. And I do photography, so I took a lot of pictures, and so that was my background, just doing a little travel writing as I went around the country.
Mhm.
And then there was when I quit that, I said, well, I want to. Oh, I did work in Alaska as a tour guide
Love it.
and sort of learned to speak because I could look out the window at the beautiful scenery and not have to really be aware of the people who were listening. And I got kind of good at it. And I said,
Mhm.
okay, well, now I want to be a consciousness guide. I don't want to be a tour guide.
Right.
And hence my blog.
Mhm.
And so 10 years ago I started the blog, and
Mhm.
then
And
I
then here we are.
I followed my intuition.
Mhm.
I when I After the Alaska experience, I was realizing I was really depressed. I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't have a job,
Mhm.
and I was having to take care of my mother, who was going blind.
Mm.
And I was like, well, what am I doing here? You know,
Right.
and my knee wasn't working at that point, and I knew the work of Louise Hay, who talks about energy healing, and that this energy that was stuck in my knee had to do with fear of moving forward.
Yeah. And it
And
sounds so silly. Like I would just laugh that off completely before my awakening. I'd say, oh, okay, fear of me moving forward.
really,
You need to
wow,
you need to go to the doctor. You know, and now I'm like, yep, makes total sense to me, and I've seen it over and over again.
okay.
So how did you shift the knee without the doctor with your mindset? Because I
Oh,
use hypnosis to help people through this.
oh,
And
wonderful,
I use hypnosis. I go and get hypnosis for me too.
wonderful.
I don't know how people do it without.
Right. That's
How
such
did
a
you do
great
it?
tool.
Oh, it's
I
incredible.
My sister gave me a book called Infinite Possibilities: The Art of uh, Living Your Dreams, or something like that. From Mike Dooley
Mhm.
wrote that book, and
Okay. Yeah.
it gave me some tips and some inspiration on things to do,
Mhm.
and and I just did a surrender to divine, to the universe. He does the messages from the universe. So at
Right.
that time, I still wasn't talking to God, and
You were just searching for answers, just
yeah,
like
I was searching
reaching,
for
right?
answers, but
Yeah, I
I
totally
wasn't
remember.
talking to God about it. But I said, "Okay, universe, I surrender. Send me messages. Give me directions. I promise I will listen." And I don't need to be hit over the head anymore with a 2x4. Please give it to me gently.
Oh,
The
so
days of
smart. Did the
the
book
days
tell
of
you to do
pain,
it that way? Because I didn't have a book.
I don't
It took me
know if it did.
years to learn how to, okay, I'm ready for something new, but can we not yank anything away or,
Right,
you
right.
know? Yeah.
Because there was that time in my life where I realized the reincarnation was a thing, and I was like, okay, give me my karma. I want to, you know, get out of here and quit being on Earth. That's where I was at with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm done with that. And please, gently, please
Yeah.
tell me
So smart.
tell me what to do next. And I started to listen. I started to listen, and and I discovered that messages come from all kinds of different places, and things happen intuitively, and they happen synchronistically,
Mhm.
and we can be led. And so apparently you have been through that same type of experience. That's
Yeah.
all.
Mine was, I had to be hit over the head several times
Well, that's
before I got it. And I think that that's how most of us are.
right.
Um, although not all of us, some of us learn. I have to learn the hard way and have for my whole life. But
Yeah.
things were shed from just taken from me.
Yes. And
Everything that I thought was
yeah,
important
me
that
too.
I could not live without.
Mhm. Yeah,
All things of my
when we get
identity.
stripped down to what's left after everything is gone,
Yes.
and we ask, who am I?
Yeah.
We discover that there is another part of us that is what I refer to as in the larger, discovering the larger version of self, is this awakening consciousness that I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are experiencing now. And um, I wrote my book some time ago and kind of sat on it because it just didn't seem to fit the narrative, but
Now is the
it's
time.
now's the time.
Now is
So,
the time.
yeah,
Can I
so
ask you? So I also, one of the hardest parts of my awakening was losing people. I didn't just lose things, I lost people. And these are the people that I really thought I could count on. And it was gutting. It was just gutting. Did you have people around you that kind of understood and supported you, or did you find that you had to, not reinvent yourself because you're coming out, but did you have to seek another group of support? Many of us have to seek another group of support, go through it alone for a while.
yes, that's really true. And I was blessed in that way. My mother was very spiritual, and as I said, I was taking care of her because she was losing her eyesight, and she was able to understand what I was doing and be supportive, and she did help me write my book.
Wow.
Um, so I was very blessed that way,
Mhm.
and but I do agree with you that it it is a really painful process, and that most people have everything. lose everything, and especially those most important things are the people in our lives. I have always been extremely introverted,
Mhm.
and I've spent a lot of time alone.
Mhm.
Um, I decided that people were not safe um,
Yep.
pretty early on in my life.
Yeah.
And
At
um,
very minimum, they didn't get it.
and yeah, and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And so it's part of where I get my um, acuity for intuition of being super sensitive. And I think that many people who probably are going to watch this message are people who are sensitive, and those souls that don't fit in, and those people who wonder, what am I doing here, and what is this that's happening to
Yeah.
me? But my message is to say, well, it's not happening to you, it's happening through you,
Mhm.
and it's all gonna make sense. I've
Yeah.
been to that place where it all made sense when I thought I had ruined my life and I was never gonna, be happy. I was never gonna be able to have any of the things I wanted in life. And I found a greater love. I found a greater sense of being and sense of purpose,
Yeah.
which is which isn't easy. It's not an easy path. Like,
Right.
um,
No.
but
And I was
but
talking about this, being chosen.
right.
A lot of people will say, we're the chosen ones, or that has been, no, it means like we chose this, and they're like, all right, fine, you want to come? You want to do this on Earth? We'll take you, you know?
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, you know, why I volunteered, because it has not been easy,
Right.
but I am finding joy in purpose and sharing the things that I've learned. And I'm so excited because I do think we have turned a corner with
Yeah, I think
the,
so too.
do you think we've turned a corner and that people are now understanding,
Mhm.
and more people will be in the next wave of awakening.
Yeah. So tell me about your actual awakening experience. Not the journey, but the experience. You said that you just saw you are part of oneness. You are one with the
Right.
trees, with,
Yes. When I was following my intuition, um, I just did one step after the other. And one day I was just walking down the street on my way to my mother's house, like I did every day. She lives around the corner. She lived around the corner from me.
yeah,
And I remember I had this thought, I'm happy. I'm really happy. And I didn't remember ever feeling that way.
yeah.
And when I recognized that happiness, it sort of came into me and through me, and I was in another dimension.
Mhm.
I I started laughing. I started crying,
On the
laugh
sidewalk or down the street?
on the street. I'm kind of stumbling around the street in front of my house, going, and I started seeing like energy in the trees. There's a beautiful eucalyptus trees in outside my house, and I could see the energy in the trees. I could feel them. I could
Mhm.
feel in the grass. I felt in it. And as I started to feel more and more, I became very expansive out into space. And it seemed to go on and on. And I was aware of the planets, and I was overcome, I want to say with love, but it was just this absence of fear. I wasn't afraid anymore in my body. I could feel this complete freedom. I knew my life made sense. And I knew that we were all connected, that we were all part of oneness. And so for me, that's what a awakening means. And many people have different experiences of awakening. And as I've studied it, I realize that that there's many ways that people are awakening, and mine was very spontaneous. I was like, what is this? I don't know what to do
When you
now.
look back on that, do you think that it happened on that day in that way for a particular reason?
I think everything happens for a particular reason. And I think I must have kind of set the day prior to this earth existence, or at least the circumstances that would lead up to that eventual awakening experience. And I think everybody's path is a little bit different, but there are some key elements that are very helpful, and that's part of the reason I wrote my book, because I didn't find anybody who understood what I went through and the way that I went through it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I looked for information, and I said, well, I guess then I'm supposed to write the book,
Did you get a message to write the book, or at first it was just like, I really needed this book?
I really needed this book.
Yeah.
I guess I'm supposed to write the book. I'll write my experience. I'm going to go through this journey of trying to figure out now how to live in this state of being the larger me, because obviously I'm a changed person now.
Right.
And I explained it to somebody who said to me, well, that sounds like a near-death experience. And I was like, really? And maybe at one point, because I was in this elevated state that was multidimensional, I did for a minute wonder if I died.
I'm getting right now, was your mom praying desperately for you at that time? Probably, right?
I have no idea.
If you could guess. I'm getting that your mom was praying quite a lot for you.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, ask your guide, see if that's, someday. I mean, I know that my mom was with me. My mom had early onset end stage frontal lobe dementia.
Wow.
And I felt her spirit so strong with me. It got me through lots of days. Just her spirit being with me. So there's like this connection, with our maternal lines that I'm seeing as a continuous thread with so many of us.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And definitely there is a genetic part of what we're doing and why we're doing it is a ancestral work as well. So
it really is. And so your book is Awakening Consciousness, Discovering a Larger Version of Self.
right. That's the book about that awakening experience, and there were a lot of steps to it and some things I learned afterwards. And when I wrote it, I was like, okay, I really hope that this is helpful.
Yeah.
To people like me who woke up and said, now what?
Yeah.
And why did this happen? And what is it? Because
am I going crazy?
am I going
Am
crazy?
I going crazy?
Did I
Yeah.
die? And
Yeah.
what happened? And now that I'm different, and I'm a different person,
Yeah.
how do I reinvent myself in
Yeah.
this new format?
You know, it's so interesting. We both use that word, I think. I said something about reinvent, and I said, well, you're not reinventing yourself. You're the bringing out the person you always were. But it feels like the same thing because when you're blossoming and letting that core of who you are come out, it is so different than the way that we lived before.
Right.
People are like, well, just be your authentic self, live the true you. Like, I was an introvert in an extroverted world. I'm talking about there are lots of introverts on the planet. I was surrounded by extroverts in two huge um, Irish Catholic families.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I really didn't understand like that there were some people that liked to stay home on a Friday night or Saturday night, but I would push myself out there because this is what people do to have fun. And sometimes I would. I can't say that, but I could take that probably twice a month. Be very happy with with that. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, you had to reinvent yourself by being your authentic self.
This is how I see it now, is that our
Yeah,
authentic self is this larger
yeah,
version, and that we're energetic beings having a
yeah,
human experience.
right.
And one of my teachers likes to say, it's the unseen world that's the real world. And I I fully embrace that idea that that world is real, and that there's reasons that we chose to become human and be here, and I'm learning to appreciate my humanity, which was something that I didn't know. So that's
Because
kind
now
of
it makes sense. Like
it
finally
makes.
we've put the pieces together, like, got it, got it, you know? Um,
Mhm.
and let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So I don't know if your angels give you like prophetic messages or talk about the shift and the things that are to come. I'm getting these messages over and over
Mhm.
that we are going to be shocked when the truth comes out and shocked about what we see. And so I like joke about it and I go, I don't know what would shock me. Like I am not shocked about anything I see on the news, any of these Hollywood people, any of the politicians. Like I am the opposite of shocked. So, like, what will shock me? Do you get those messages? Number one. Number two, have you thought of that before? Like, what is going to shock you in the coming days, weeks, months, years?
Um, Great question. Uh, and you brought in the angels. Um, I was shocked to be tuned into angels. I've followed my intuition. As I said, I uh, told the universe I was going to do. I did it, and I keep doing it.
Yeah.
And my mother was going to channeler named Cryon that I'd never heard of, and I thought that was really kind of dumb.
Yes.
And
Let's be honest. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
she wanted me to go with, invited me to go with her.
Mhm.
And I wasn't really interested in his message, but there was a lady there that was teaching channeling, and just the way she put it out, I said, well, I need to go to that, which puzzled me because it, it puzzled me. And
Yeah.
she put us through these exercises, and I couldn't do any of the psychic things, and I couldn't do any of the things she was talking about, but
Yeah.
we finally did this automatic writing exercise.
Oh, yeah.
And
And you're
I
like, this
put
I can do.
I put my hand on the paper and boom,
Yes.
there
Yes.
they were.
And it comes
And
flooding in.
and 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 I was writing this message and it clearly wasn't me.
Oh, so you
And
knew right away it wasn't you.
oh yeah.
Because for me,
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
I can rhyme. I've been dabbling in
No,
writing for a little bit. It took me months. I would read, I'm like, could you write this in 5, like quizzing everybody, writers, not anyone who would listen to me. Like, could you write
uh,
this, do you think, like without any editing? And they're like, no,
no,
no.
I could not, and I still cannot.
Yeah.
Um, and I was writing my blog, but took me a long time to write articles and research and all of
Hmm.
that. But this came in and it was just coming through. So
Right.
she said,
Then
well,
there's no
go
stopping
home.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. She said, go home and write for a month.
Hmm.
So I did. So every
Go
morning,
home and write for a month.
yeah, every morning I would sit down
Okay.
and and quiet my mind and let whatever come in. And I couldn't I couldn't even look at the words because my mind wanted to edit them and it was going, really?
Yeah.
I can't I can't say that. I don't know that.
Yeah.
It was meh, meh, meh. So,
Yeah.
but I would still do it because I loved the messages when I read them. This is really cool. So I wrote them in a notebook and put them under my chair and I did that for a couple of years. And then
Wow.
I finally said, these could be helpful to people and I started putting them up on my blog.
Mm. So
And
what are they like? I am just learning that mine are iambic pentameter.
oh,
What are yours? Do yours rhyme? What are they like? Do you know
hmm,
any that you could repeat or?
mine have come in differently depending on which angel energy is coming through. And
Beautiful.
they primarily are in the what I had learned as a child growing up of the 12 archangels. And that's what I'm comfortable doing. I was very nervous about psychic things, and I still kind of am.
Hmm.
I really appreciate everybody's gifts and abilities, and I know that I know we all have them, and maybe some of your listeners don't realize that, but yes, everyone has gifts, and we all are coming into our gifts, so don't be surprised when they happen.
Right.
Um,
When you're just walking to your mom's house one day
yeah, yeah, one
and you
day, and
see the universe.
it hit you, bam.
Yeah.
And that was sort of like, and that was sort of the same thing with the angels. Um, and it was so interesting because this being that was channeling through this lady at the time, the lady's name is Marilyn. Oh, Marilyn, I forget, but it was
Okay.
Adironda that was the entity that she was channeling, which I thought was pretty hokey too. Um,
Yeah.
but she came down off the stage. She walked through the audience to me and it wasn't easy because I was at the side, kind of hiding like I do.
Yeah.
And she took both my hands and said, now don't do this when you're driving. And I went, holy cow. She's aware I'm a truck driver.
That's wild.
And I don't know if she was talking to my physical self or my
Mm.
spiritual self or my spiritual guides and saying, don't you come in, try to come in when she's driving. I
Right.
think it'd be a little bit of both.
Probably, right?
Yeah, now that I think
Either way,
about
the
it.
message was pretty clear.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody got the message.
Yeah, so I'm feeling a little emotional about that because I didn't ever think of that till right now. That perhaps she was addressing that and so that must be the truth
Yeah.
because it's kind of getting to me. So um yeah, so that's how they came in and
Who
I've
comes
been
in most frequently?
um gosh, most frequently is really a group uh that is just the angels, but specific angels that come in is, of course, Archangel Michael.
Mhm.
Um, I always felt like he has been part of my team, that he has been protecting me
Yeah.
in my life. And I did have one psychic person tell me that one day, said, "Do you know that Archangel Michael is with you?" And I said, "No."
Mhm.
But I sort of did. I sort of did. And he said, "Yeah, he's right over your left shoulder there. Can you feel the weight on your shoulders?" I said, "Yeah, I do." I said, "Yeah, Archangel Michael. Someday people are going to know your name." And and
They
that
said that
freaked
to
out.
you?
He said that to me. And I was like, "Really? I
Like,
I'm
I'll
not
just be
interested.
sitting over here
Yeah,
in the
I'm not
corner.
interested. Yeah, I'm not interested in that whole thing." And
Yeah.
and that was before, I started channeling angels quite a bit before that happened. So
I love that it it took you a while to have to be out. I mean, running a group or a tour group or something is very different than setting up a YouTube channel and then setting up a YouTube channel and saying that you talk to angels. I talked to my mother, who is now in a different realm. I mean, it is really coming out. And I was in training for, oh my gosh, well over a year. Well over a year. And I'm not afraid anymore. So my experience is the fear does go away.
yes, are you talking about the training for
Training for being
communicating with
in
your
the
mother
public.
or training for being in public? Okay.
Training for being in the public. So if somebody said people will know your name, first of all, I probably wouldn't have believed it. Second of all, I'm like, that would scare me back into a corner. And
Mhm. Yeah,
for
totally get
you,
it.
yeah, you had to take Toastmasters, you did it. Anyway, they had me up doing open mics, like reading my
Oh,
channeled
no way.
message at open mics. And I was like, I don't know why, but okay. Or doing telling stories. What the heck is it called? The Moth. Have you ever heard of The Moth?
No, uh-uh.
Oh, it's wonderful. These people have 5 minutes to tell a story. So you can't go up with notes, you can't whatever, you have 5 minutes to tell this story, and it's a competition. And they had me thinking that I was going to have to drive to Boston, which is 2 hours from my house. I'm in Massachusetts, drive to Boston, do this, maybe get picked, but be ready to get picked and have my story. Like, I look back and I'm like, no wonder people thought that I was like losing my mind because the
Right.
journey was really, but I was ready and willing to do it. And then I
Wonderful.
didn't have to do it.
Oh,
I didn't have to do it. So I went to go and book my ticket and it was full. No more tickets available. And I'm like, they were so clear. And then the next day it came to me like, you were willing, you were ready. And then that's what I needed, the kick in the butt to have a
mhm.
date, to have
Yeah, that's so interesting.
that's our training.
Right, right. Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of like right now my uh, somebody here local in Phoenix where I live
Mhm.
got one of my angel message. I do personal angel readings for people
Mhm.
in my website, and she ordered one. And then before she even got it, she said, "Would you come and speak at my church?" And I've learned to say yes, because I'm I've surrendered to be divinely guided, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. You just don't say no.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially
Uh,
just
uh,
speaking at a church, there are some things you're going to say no to, but that's not one of them.
well, yeah, I guess that's right. There are still a lot of things I say no to, but that is down my alley. So I said okay,
Yep.
and I just assumed that it would be all right, and it did was a great thing. And now they want me to teach a class, um, so it is interesting the things that were asked by Spirit to do, um, and I will say for those people that are concerned about, who's coming through and what are they going to ask of you,
Right.
that you can tell by the love that's involved, and you can tell by the way that you feel in your heart that
Yeah.
this is something that is going to benefit you, um, even though it's not easy,
Mhm.
even though you're being asked to grow in ways that you wouldn't normally choose to. If we're going to keep up this awakening process, and it is a process,
Mhm.
um, there are going to be these things that we're going to be asked to work through. And you asked about the angels and whether they've given me messages. And um, my early messages in 2018 were those kinds of things. I got a message from Archangel Michael, was one of those first messages that came in,
Mhm.
and he said there's going to be earth changes, there's going to be political changes, there's going to be financial changes, there's going to be all of these things coming. And he gave me a meditation, and I was so excited because I was like, oh, this isn't just a story. This is a meditation of taking the angel's hands and walking through this portal. So it was a 11:11 portal meditation that he gave me that day. And I was so excited. I sent it to my daughter, my oldest daughter, and she said, "This is kind of scary."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well,
We see things in
it's
a different way now. Yeah.
yeah." It was like, well, it's beautiful. There you take the hands of the angels and you walk through the portal. But all she could get out of it was the scary part of all the changes. Um and then there was more messages along that line about the changes. And I'm remembering another one by Archangel Michael where he says, you can free fall without fear, like free fall and we will catch you.
Yeah.
And um yeah, you could say that's scary, but for me that's beautiful. And I I do think we're in a situation of the big shift and many, many changes, and they will be very shocking for a lot of people because um, awakening doesn't seem to come to us until we're knocked upside the head,
Mhm.
till our world crumbles underneath us. And I wish we could all just go there because we uh, choose a divine path.
Mhm.
But truthfully, a lot of times it's easier to just stay where we are, even if we're uncomfortable, because change is
Yeah.
not easy. Humanity doesn't want to change. People don't like change very much. So
Right. Yeah. It's part of our makeup to just get
yes,
used to something.
Well,
Even if
yeah,
we're getting used to our world being rocked like this,
right,
that's what we're
right.
used to. And
That's
we,
what we're used, yeah, that's
you
what we're
know,
used to.
hmm
And some of us are really addicted to that kind of, uh, the trauma and the drama.
right.
And
Yeah,
when I talk to people about that, they'll say, "Oh no, I really wish it was a different way." And the angels say that we have a choice
we
and
do have a
we
choice.
can
Yeah.
choose a different way, and they will help us have a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
And it's our addiction to the trauma drama that keeps us where we are.
Yeah.
So
And not really in an addictive, just that we keep that pattern, you
yeah,
know,
it's a pattern.
um, breaking the addiction really is just doing one thing different every day,
Yes, yes.
you know,
And
faking it until you make it,
small things can make a huge difference over time.
right?
So it's just integrating those small changes that really make a big difference in life and
Waking up in the
develop.
morning and clearing your mind
Yeah,
for
yeah,
one,
right.
even setting a timer. I'm going to do this for 5 minutes.
Yeah. And that's what I started writing about in my blog before the angels came in and
Yeah.
made it so much more fun because
Hmm.
I just have to sit here and take the message
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm
So what
into
kind of
the.
messages are you getting now?
Oh man, my last message last Monday was actually the balance of good and evil. And I was like, really? I don't like talking about evil, and certainly, and I really am not non-combative. I want everybody to be unity and everything to be
Yeah.
love and light.
Yeah.
And what they talked about was the balance that we need to find with each other, that there is a place that we can find harmony,
Hmm.
and that we're never gonna talk mm, the other polarity that's here on earth with us into the way we see things.
That's right.
So
We can agree to
so
disagree, and
we
that's
agree
that.
to disagree.
Yeah.
We find a song, a vibration of harmony amongst ourselves for the greater good.
Yeah.
And I believe in that. And so they talked about the yin and yang and how this is you know, works together in wholeness. And this is from their perspective,
Yeah.
is there is a wholeness and there is a way to work where we can work things out together.
Hmm.
And they suggested trying Tai Chi and Qigong
Yes, me too.
to move the energy within you.
Yeah.
And then I got a download from a trinity of archangels, the feminine archangels
Hmm.
named Faith, Hope, and Charity. And those are the feminine side of archangels called the archei. So the
Interesting.
was a it was a lot. It was a lot. And um I did record it and try to explain some of those concepts. Um
Mhm. It's
and I
beautiful.
have
And you said your second book is going to be all your angel messages. And that's what I'm working on now,
oh
getting all the messages that I got and putting them in some format for people to read. Because have the angels told you that when you say them out loud, when people read them or listen to them, that it's a frequency healing?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I always put that in writing when I do personal angel messages for people to say the message, the real message is not in the words.
Yeah.
The real message is between the words. It's in the frequency of the transmission.
Yeah.
So you
It's
don't even really,
encoded
it's
specifically for you.
encoded. Yeah,
Yeah.
words are codes. And so, you know, they come in a particular order, and once in a while they'll let me change a word to something that makes it more but most of the time they're like, no, you know, it's
It's so
weird.
funny.
It's weird, but you can't change that word, you know.
I've had to Google words. I have
Yes.
had to look them up. I think
Mhm.
one of the first times I knew this is not me is
Mhm.
when the ending of a stanza ended with Lord. I'm like, I do not say Lord. I don't foresee myself saying Lord
Mhm.
again.
Right.
But they needed to pick out the, these big words,
Right.
heavy hitting words where I
Right.
knew, stop asking people if you are writing this. There is an element of you writing this, but we are
Yes.
helping you.
Yes. Yeah,
We
absolutely.
are co-creating. So sometimes if my thinking brain gets in the way, like I'm like, how are they going to rhyme this one? And then I start thinking, well, what words rhyme with that? I have to stop because I've been
Right.
doing the messages so long now. I know the sequences kind of, and then
Mhm.
I'll just stop and boom, the word comes in. I was like, "Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good rhyme."
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
how long have you been doing this?
I would
Getting
say
messages?
maybe almost 3 years.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And so it started with the automatic writing. Then I would open the Akashic records for a group of friends. Like they're friends now. I opened a spirituality group on Meetup. And the people they send to us are amazing. They're amazing. So I started verbalizing these, and I would just talk. And then I was like, oh, I should have recorded that, or I should have maybe written that down. And
Mhm.
instead of going back, and saying I should have, I could have, I would have, or whatever, I'm like, well, that was the experience that I needed to know that I could do it. So next time, if you want to record it, record it. Otherwise, just be in the moment. We'll get, they're always like, we'll give you the message again. You're not going to lose the message. You're not going to lose us. We're here.
Oh
They would
yeah,
say, we are here, we are here, we are
yeah,
here.
yeah. I had to do that a lot too. It's just
Yeah.
say, well, for a long time, and I've been taking him down since 2018, so I guess that's 6 years. Is I'm I still was doubting. I was still like, are they going to be there today when I sit down and tune in? Are they going to have something to say? And every time they do, and
Yeah.
sometimes they would say, yeah, we're still here, and we're, we're always going to be here.
And they're so
But,
patient with us
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Although Saint Germain, do you work with Saint Germain at all? He can be a little feisty.
yeah, I have done Saint Germain.
Hmm.
I have a beautiful message from Saint Germain and the archangel Zadkiel, who's on that same ray of freedom, and um, that Saint Germain works on. So the two of them came in together, and I have had Jesus come in a couple times, which really surprised me.
Yeah.
And
And you call him Jesus and he calls himself Jesus, as opposed to sometimes I get Jesus, sometimes I get Yeshua. Sometimes I get Joshua.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
got
feel
it.
like it's Jesus, so I don't know.
I don't know either. I think that it doesn't matter so much. It's their energy fields and not really, not really names.
Yeah.
I know a lot of channelers have been told not to. That they're not going to give names. Then they're going to be a group
Mhm.
consciousness. And I did a message from the Council of Light. That was a
Mhm.
surprise. So
Beautiful.
yeah, um, I'm not prejudiced. If they're of the light, I will let them come in. But I am most comfortable with the archangels, and so
Right. Yeah, I'm much more comfortable with that too. And now it's almost like I'm thinking about it as you're saying it. I don't really have to worry about it anymore. Like when I call in the angels, the ascended master beings of light and love for our highest good and for all of humanity. And look, I'm doing my hands already, and
nice.
we grab and gravitate toward that energy and pull it down to us. And we just feel nothing else is like allowed to come in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got to know that they're with you, and you're protected,
Yeah.
and um and
Inherently
and
protected.
set your yes, and set your intention. And I really think that this angelic realm is part of our being in oneness in this expanded state that I found myself in. It
Yeah.
includes it includes angels. I had one lady interviewed me. She said, "Well, are you an angel?" And I said, No, I don't identify as angel, but there is I'm definitely connected. That is a part of the greater consciousness of which
We
is
kind of all are.
all that is. When you've had the experience of being all that is, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, that's me too.
Yeah.
That's me
And
too.
that's you and you and you
And you
and
and you. And it's you too. And that's part of the
yeah.
message that I feel like I received that day I had my awakening, was that we're all one, and you need to go tell people that they're one with God.
Yeah. Believe it or
Or the
not,
universe or source or whatever you want to call
that
it.
divine spark that they've been
Whatever you
calling
want.
it since ancient times, the God that lives within you, that piece of you that
Oh,
is connected.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And even as evil as somebody appears to be, it is in there, just covered and wrapped and hidden um in a cave or something, right?
Yes. Me,
Um,
yeah.
somebody commented on one of my videos, I think it was the Tia Renee, that okay, well, you don't believe in hell. I believe in hell. What I said was, I believe everyone is going to heaven, which is returning to source consciousness, right? If you need to, like I needed to be knocked over the head a billion times to finally get it. If you need to take that experience to hell, whatever that looks like, feels like to you, whether it's in this life or in the afterlife, then you are going to go to that hell. But my experience and what I've been shown is we all go back to the light at some point. Do you get that as well? Or,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I totally agree with you. That was a good answer.
okay. Thank you.
In my
Thank you so
opinion,
much.
in my humble opinion.
Right. These
Yeah.
are just opinions. Because honestly,
Because
what
that's
do
what
we
we do.
know? What do we
Yeah.
know?
What do we know? Well, we know the light as it comes through us and our interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And we do our best to be clear channels of that light.
Yeah.
But there is a personal element. Um,
Like our filters.
our
That light
filters.
goes through our filters. I'm like, how come, this political stance can be channeling Jesus or whatever? Like, I get it now. I get it now. It's
Right.
through our personal filters, and
Mhm.
Jesus is not gonna not show up for certain people. They're just not going to
Yeah, it's
not
very
show up.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, how where and how spirit appears. So you just have to be curious and discriminate and
Allow
allow.
and trust yourself. Yeah. So, okay, I wrote, you're starting an
So,
online course and you're teaching live in Phoenix, the Phoenix Spiritualist Church,
uh-huh.
right? When does
Yeah.
that start?
It actually started Tuesday, this last Tuesday.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
So that's your in-person, and what your online course is
my
that
online I'm still working on. So
you're still
I
working on it. Okay, I want to take
yeah,
it.
I would ask anybody that's interested in that to please join my email list
Mhm.
by and you will get a beautiful gift of angel blessings. They're 10 angel blessings that were channeled, and they got beautiful artwork. And it comes with a description of the 12 archangels and who are their
Your website's
feminine
beautiful.
counterparts. Thank you so much.
It really is beautiful. I mean, you can't go
Yeah,
wrong with the angels usually, but yours was very pretty. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I always think who doesn't love angels, and there are people out there. So, but
Yep. I don't know.
I won't ask that. But if you if you're into angels at all,
Yeah.
you will love the free gift that comes when you get on my e- email list, and then you just get an angel message every Monday morning that
Beautiful.
I published every week.
Okay. And then they
Beautiful.
can find out about your book. They can find out about your blog and
And what's coming
your
next?
courses and what's coming next.
No doubt.
Lindsay, thank you so much for taking this time out to
Thank
talk
you.
to me and talk to us. Your
Thank you for
presence
the
is really
invitation.
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it's been so wonderful to talk with you and the people who follow you, and many blessings to everybody on their journey.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. And anyone who has enjoyed this, please go to Lindsay's YouTube channel, subscribe there. It is in the description box below. And please subscribe to this channel too, so you don't miss anything. And I would really like it.